How to change the world in 10 ways. My name's Troy. Welcome to Applying Principles. So I wanted to make a list of solutions to kind of illustrate how who we are and what we do affects the world around us, and how we can properly align ourselves to be the person we want to be, and how that can help change the world in a way that we would like to see it, improve. So first on the list is regenerative farming. So regenerative farming is basically a way of farming that is ecologically sound, so that you are regenerating the nutrients and the resources on which you are farming, because the whole point of farming is to create more than what you had. If you're losing money with farming, you're not helping. And if you're losing nutrients, it's not really farming. You're taking nutrients out of there. That's harvesting. It's over harvesting. It's almost mining the soil rather than farming the soil, which is taking sunlight energy and transferring it into nutrients. So we have the techniques to regenerate our ecosystems and grow all the food we need at the same time for any type of diet. We got no-till farming. We got carbon farming, we got holistic management, we got permaculture, we got agrarianism, we got biological farming, and that's just to say a couple. So we've got a whole bunch of different solutions about how we can approach these problems in an effective way that actually make things better while making our lives better. It's recognizing how humans interact with the ecosystem around us and how we can actually be a part of that ecosystem and actually make mutually beneficial relationships both with humans and with all the other ecosystems and life forms in them. Number 2, ecological capitalism, or triple bottom line economics. Now, we need to start building our new economy now. We need to start moving towards and building that new economy so that we have somewhere to go to as this current end stage capitalism is happening. Because right now we're having all these boom and bust cycles, and the only way that they work is by expansion. And so we need to actually base our economy on a different way that's actually based on an ecological model. And one of those ways is with triple bottom line economics, where you have people, planet, and profit. Profit's very important because you have to have enough profit to invest back in yourself so that you can actually invest in your people and your planet. Now, as we build this new economy, we have to recognize that some people are going to transition over immediately and some are going to transition over very lately. And we have to be able to build diversity in the system and not scrutinize people for taking too long, while making it mutually beneficial for people to move to this and recognize how much easier it is to actually work with the natural forces, especially in farming. Number 3, we got economic empowerment. So you need to have enough money to do what you need to do and to cover your basic finances so that you can move on with your life and not be held down by the minutia of things, so that you can actually be the great authentic self that you want to be. I mean, we didn't just come here and incarnate on this planet, and we're not just around here basically just to survive, and I don't think anybody wants that. So to really reach our greatness, we have to figure out how to remove that money obstacle, to keep out of the grind, and figure out how to, properly produce something that is meaningful to ourselves and that pursues our own happiness and our own meaning, and not just pursuing money just for pure survival sense. Now, if we can get that money out of the way so that we can actually be our authentic self and pursue our passions, that's how we actually make ourselves the best person that we can, and thus make the world the best place it can through our actions and through who we are. Being wealthy or having the financial ability to do certain things gives you the ability to actually invest into other people outside of yourself. You actually get to invest in things that you find as valuable projects. You get to invest into different people's lives. So there is a large benefit to being wealthy and to obtain that wealth for those reasons, because you can only give what you have. And if you are not hoarding your wealth and you're actually allowing that money to circulate through society and to benefit other people rather than yourself, that is something that is very worthwhile, and something that I think everybody should be able to obtain, so that they're not constantly making decisions just based upon making that next paycheck or making the next rent payment. So we can actually be more than that. So we can actually achieve some kind of human greatness, for each and every person. Number 4, we got personal empowerment. So it's very important to be your authentic self, and your authentic self is something that you're constantly rediscovering and constantly changing who that is. But I think that, there's a certain innate self that is constantly being changed by its environment as who is your authentic self. And to be your authentic self and to know who that is, and because there's a lot of power in that, because being your authentic self is connected with your higher self and who you are in all your different bodies, as some call it, in your mental body, your spiritual body, your emotional body, your physical body. When you align these, people can't really, knock you out of your center. You're there. People can't lie to you, or if they lie to you, you don't really take it. It doesn't really affect you. You just live your own life because you know it's true, or at least you know it's true and what works for you, and you're not going to let this other stuff that isn't vetted for you work. And boundaries are very important. Now, you have to be able to articulate your boundaries, and boundaries come into different ways. That you have to be able to say yes, and you have to be able to say no. And there's different boundaries, and both of those are questions that you have to be able to answer yourself for all the important things in your life that interact with other people. And how do you enforce your yeses, and how do you enforce your nos? Because both of those are very important questions too. And if you're not willing to enforce them, then they don't necessarily have the weight. And if you don't know how to enforce your yeses and you don't know how to enforce your nos, then people will not respect one or the other. Number 5, epistemology, strength and diversity. Now, we have a lot of different ways of thinking and a lot of different ways of deriving truth depending on what academic discipline you're in. And a historian doesn't go the same way about deriving truth the same way that an anthropologist does, nor a scientist, nor a theologian. So all of these I'm not saying is better than the other, but depending on what you're trying to measure or what you're trying to do or what you're trying to analyze, there is a better one, and we have to recognize where one has disadvantages and one has advantages, and how those can help blend together to make a more unified understanding of reality. And in order to do that, we have to actually listen to the experts in these different disciplines and be open to being wrong about different things of the way we thought. And so we have to listen to many different disciplines that have been around for a long time, because they've been deriving their perspectives for, hundreds or even thousands of years, depending on, which discipline you're talking about. Number 6, we got bioplastics and the ocean cleanup. So plastic is a huge problem, and we need to figure out certain solutions for them. There's a range of solutions from, bioplastics to cleaning up the ocean, but those are the two big ones that we have to really focus on, because bioplastics are, I think, the future, because plastics are kind of a necessity. We're not really going to be able to take our society away from them. It's just too useful. So, but if we can move to something that's actually non-harmful. Now, the PLAs, they work. They kind of break down in a thermophilic compost, but the PHAs are much more effective, and they can be made out of decomposing plant material and such like that, waste products for the most part. And there's a whole list of different things for solving the plastic problem, but the key thing is we also have to take that material out of the ocean and get it out of contaminating those areas that it can't properly be broken down. Number 7, employee-owned buyouts. Now, there's a lot of jobs that are being specifically bought and sold. Some are being made specifically to be sold, and some are basically getting run into the ground. And now, if we could actually set up more of a culture where employee-owned buyouts were a thing, where employees who were in an established industry could properly buy out the company and restructure it, as times are changing, so that you can have, all these jobs not being lost, and all of these people who rely on that business as well not be having to look elsewhere. Now, giving employees the right of first refusal to be able to buy the company with a loan from the owner, rather than selling it off, they give the advantage to be able to keep the business where it is and to keep it as it is as much as possible, to keep things stable and keep jobs local. And this is just one effect of, how this could solve the problems that we're facing right now. Number 8, get money out of politics. So Bernie really showed us that we can really do this. He showed us we can run a campaign effectively and not need corporate money, that you can rely on individual people to give you their donations. And that really opened the door. Now, there's also this other guy called Lawrence Lessig. I really recommend that you look him up. Politics is a huge hindrance right now from a lot of our solutions from getting implemented. And if we can properly get money out of politics and properly get campaign funding to happen from the people, that's going to solve a huge amount, because then we're actually going to be able to get people that we want in there and then, get something done. So there's little bit by little bit that we can do, and getting money out of politics is the first step. Let's put our government back in the hands of the people like it aspires to be. Number 9, renewable, alternative, and appropriate technologies. So there's a lot of different technologies out there that I feel that are being underutilized right now. And you can easily go from solar, wind, hydro, tidal, and all of these other ones that everybody knows about. But they just aren't being utilized properly, and for some reason I think it's a cultural thing, and some people and companies think that they can't market them that way. But I think that part of the way is that if we start to really value them and value the low energy costs on things, to value more just simple designs on things and low energy cost and appropriate design. You don't need a huge pump when you only need a little bit of water. So, if we can properly size our technology for what we're trying to use it for and not trying to overkill it every time. We also want to make products that last longer, because this planned obsolescence of things having to constantly getting replaced, that is a very high environmental cost. I know it's good for our economy supposedly and how they record it right now, but that's because they don't have a way of properly factoring in environmental factors and and how that's going to affect future generations. We also have to allow innovation to happen. I mean, our car engines hardly changed in 100 years. It's hardly changed its efficiency. So we really need to improve and allow innovation to take over the marketplace and stop having larger corporations be able to buy out small corporations or small companies that are just getting started just because they can and they have the power to do so, and because it's economically feasible and for them. I mean, I understand that they're going to lose their industry if they do that, but we have to allow for those things to be able to change and move forward for the progress of society, even if it's the detriment of a couple companies. And, I think that we should somehow design for that in our society. And number 10, raise your frequency. Now, this is a spiritual one. It kind of applies, and all the other ones are kind of built up in this one, but this one is kind of the spiritual perspective that all of them are capsulated in. So as you become your better self, as you become your authentic self, you raise your frequency, and you raise the frequency of everybody around you and that interacts with you. So if you can become your best self, you're going to interact with everybody in the best way that they can, which is going to reverberate that out into the world. And that the more that you can do this and the more that you can be that, it literally changes that way in what you manifest in your life, and then the people who are manifested in those shared experiences. So there's a lot of different ways that we can change the world. These are just a couple solutions. I'm going to have a video for each one of these coming very soon, so please stay tuned. Thanks so much for watching. My name's Troy. Have a great day.